Okay, now we're just going to simplify expressions, and this time this tells us we need to state the excluded values. And when you're dealing with fractions, what is the one number that cannot go in the denominator? That's right, 0. You cannot have a fractional expression with 0 in the denominator. So when it says state the excluded values, whatever values cause the fraction to be 0, that's what the variable cannot equal. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break these down into prime factorization. Notice this says r cubed and this is over r. Well, r cubed is the same as r times r squared. So that's what I'm breaking that down to. 10 is the same thing as 2 times 5. R cubed is r times r squared. 6r is the same thing as 2 times 3 times r. And then, look at this. Those cancel. Those cancel. And we essentially have our answer. So the result will be 5r squared over 3. Notice there is not a variable in the denominator now, but we still have to go back to this original, even though we simplified it. And let's reduce the value right there. 10 over 6 is the same thing as 5/3. So we're going to write 5/3 r cubed over 3r. Well, either way, in this case, it doesn't matter too much. What is the value of r that would cause the denominator to be 0? Remember, this says 3 times r. So 3 times r is equal to 0. That's right. So r cannot equal 0. So let's look at the next one. So now you have an expression in the denominator. Well, what does this expression and the numerator, what do all three things? You have to look at all three. Well, they all have a 3 in common. So we're going to break them down by factors. So 9n squared is the same thing as 3 times 3n squared. 9 and 6 have a 3 in common, so we're going to do the reverse distributive. A 3 gets pulled out, and that leaves 3n plus 2. And then notice, those 3's can be canceled. Now we have to look at what is the excluded value. So 3n plus 2, let's set that equal to 0. Some of you will be able to tell right away. Notice, what's the opposite of 2? Yep, -2. And then what's the inverse of multiplying 3? Dividing 3. So that would be -2/3, but let's do it this way. Let's set this whole thing equal to 0. Well, the first thing you're going to do is subtract 2. So now you have 3n is equal to whoa, sorry about that. (3n is equal to -2. Well, to get n by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 3. So there you go. So n cannot equal -2/3. All right, that's it.